Okay. Welcome to our June 17th afternoon briefing at the Emergency Operations Center. Today you will hear updates from Calgary Emergency Management Agency Acting Chief Kobe Dewar, City of Calgary General Manager of Infrastructure Services Michael Thompson, City of Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek, Calgary Stampede CEO Joel Cowley, and Tourism Calgary President and CEO Alicia Reynolds. So following their updates, we'll take questions from the media, and if everyone can just limit their questions to, or their one question and one follow-up. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oki, Dadanastada, Ambawastage, and Tansei. You can see I'm joined by some great people, and they will have updates for you. This weekend brought some challenging developments, but it also brought some good news. So to start, water consumption was down for both Saturday and Sunday. Usage on Saturday was 438 million liters, and on Sunday, yesterday, Father's Day, it was at 439. I really want to thank everybody for answering the call to just dig a little deeper to save water. All your efforts paid off, and you addressed the call to action in an outstanding way. Thank you for banding together. The rainfall was also much needed for gardens and plants and lawns, and all of you took advantage of it by capturing excess rainwater in your barrels as well as other containers that you had so you can use them for the coming days. Just a reminder that we are still under an outdoor water restriction, so please do not be using your taps to water your gardens or your lawns or do any washing of windows outside. And just a reminder that we have 3 phases to deal with the situation that we're presently in. Firstly, we are using the Glenmore treatment facility to make sure that water is flowing to everyone's taps. That is the process that we have used, and it will work as long as we continue to save water, which you have been doing a fabulous job of. And as long as we keep those numbers down, it allows us to move well into the second phase, which we are in, which is the repair and restore phase. So this means for us to get the taps turned back on at the Bear Spot treatment facility, we have to make sure that we have addressed all the conditions that require repair. And the third phase is that there will be a fulsome incident review as well as an asset review. Now, the progress within the repair and restore phase is looking really good. The original break has been repaired. That site is being cleaned up. And as you know, we have 5 hotspots that we need to address right now as well. There are parts available for 3 of those, and we are waiting for parts for the other 2. And as you know, those are coming to us from San Diego. So we are eagerly awaiting that shipment from our friends down south. And as we know more about the excavation conditions and all the parts are in place, we will have a much better ability to give you a better timeline for when we can anticipate that we will reopen the feeder main. Another reminder to please stay away from the work site so that crews can work safely and quickly to get us all back up and running. And I know that summer has been on everyone's minds and how this water matter could impact summer festivals and events, including Stampede. We've been in talks with Stampede as well as Tourism Calgary, and both are here to provide you with an assurance that the show will go on, that the summer will carry forward. And I'm now going to hand things over to Deputy Chief of Calgary Emergency Management Agency, Kobe Dewar.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm happy to be here while Chief Sue Henry is taking a well-earned few days off. I want to start by saying thank you to Calgarians for everything you have done to limit water usage. My thanks to each of you for pulling together and helping us out with this emergency. Our statistics for Saturday and Sunday show we have reduced water usage and met our reduction targets. On the weekend, we were lucky enough to have a good amount of rain. Not only did this give our parks and yards a much needed drink, but it also gave Calgarians an opportunity to collect and save water that we can use for the coming weeks when the weather is expected to get hotter. Many Calgarians collected water, putting every container they could find around their house onto decks and sidewalks, and adding bins and buckets to the end of downspouts. One family we heard from made it a game of tag to determine who needed to go out and empty the buckets into the larger bucket and whose turn was it. Please be sure to completely cover your containers with a lid or a piece of heavy material like plywood with a rock or on top to keep your pets safe and prevent faster evaporation. As we committed to you yesterday, we are moving heaven and literally earth to get these remaining hot spots as soon as safely possible. I say earth because shovels are in the ground and we are ripping up 16th Avenue to get these critical repairs. I know the additional traffic impacts will be difficult to navigate, and there'll be some noise and other impacts, but our focus is to do this quickly, safely, and efficiently as possible. We've been here giving you some tough news to Calgarians over the past week and asking for some very unfun actions to be taken. I'm grateful to all of you who have taken these actions to heart. I also want to assure you that fun is not canceled. The summer is not canceled. Festivals and events are important to our city. They celebrate Calgary's cultural diversity, are good for our local economy, and they make Calgary a vibrant place to live and visit year-round. Now more than ever, we recognize the importance for Calgarians to connect with community. We have been working with the event organizers to make sure they don't impact our water use during this critical time. Folks are wondering if one of our biggest attractions of the year, the Calgary Stampede, will be affected this year. Similar to the 2013 floods, the 2024 Stampede won't be canceled. It just might look a little different. As an agency partner, we have a long history of working with the Calgary Stampede to make sure we are supporting them any way possible, to make sure public safety is top priority. We have been working on contingency plans for the Stampede to make sure it does not drive a significant water use. And I'll tell you that we have some of those plans in a few minutes here, as you'll see from the CEO of Stampede. We reviewed the 5-year daily water demand trend during Stampede Week, and we aren't seeing a significant uptick in demand noted during past years. This is due to two factors. During Stampede, we know Calgarians are also traveling elsewhere during the summer vacation plans. We also know the water use is weather dependent, and as we know from past years, many of us have been caught in this, early July can bring big storms, reducing the need for water outdoors. Our water expert team will be doing finer analysis of our demand trends as we prepare strategies to support Stampede. But knowing that Calgary is Stampede and the Stampede is Calgary, we feel that we can look forward to a great Stampede. We also heard concerns about visitors coming to our city and worried about the impact they may have on our water usage. Calgarians are worried that the sacrifices they are making will be exceeded by the water use of people coming into the city and other places. The visitors coming to Calgary for Stampede, conventions, and all other reasons, Calgary is open to visitors. Come, eat here, shop here, and enjoy your time with us. We just ask that when you're in our city, you're one of us. Fight this problem with us. Follow all of our restrictions. Make every drop count. Take 3-minute showers or less. And take pictures, memories, but also take your laundry home with you when you go. And don't do it here. Local Calgary businesses have also stepped up to the plate to do their part. I've heard of companies downtown that have shut off their dishwashers in their workplaces, modified the auto flush options on their toilets, and provided their staff with compostable dishes, cutlery, and napkins. Everybody is doing their part. To date, from a 311 perspective, we have logged 6,578 calls to 311. Bylaw stats, our bylaw officers continue to take an education-first approach to complaints under the outdoor water restrictions. Officers have had 1,976 calls since June 6th, of which 117 are pending investigation. There have been 552 written warnings issued, 685 verbal warnings, and 2 violation tickets have been issued to corporations. We have had a total of 128 calls for services regarding the fire ban. 99 are pending investigations. 14 written warnings have been issued, 53 verbal warnings have been issued, and 4 violation tickets have been issued. I'd like to bring up General Manager Michael Thompson to give us an update for what's happening at the work sites.
Thanks, Colby, and good afternoon, everyone. I know I'm a new face to these daily updates, so I'd like to quickly introduce my role. As the General Manager of Infrastructure Services, I will be joining you for the near future to provide updates on the active construction our team is currently overseeing. From Water Service Director Nancy Mackay and Capital Plan Investment Director Francois Bouchard to our emergency management and community experts, I'd like to recognize the work of all of the groups you have been able to hear from since this response started. Our infrastructure delivery team is overseeing the repair of the 5 additional hotspots identified on Friday, June 14th. These repairs are taking place at 2 work area locations that are separate from the original location of the water feeder main break. Yesterday, work at the original repair location wrapped up, and overnight we made significant progress in mobilizing and staging for the work we are starting today. Detours went into effect yesterday at 10 p.m. Impacts to traffic will be significant during this time, and we encourage you to plan your commute in advance as we strive towards completing these repairs together. A big repair like this requires some big equipment. You may catch a glimpse of heavy equipment moving through the city today and tomorrow to support the work taking place in the Montgomery area as we get construction underway at the 2 new locations. Site safety assessments were completed yesterday, and excavation on these sites starts today. Due to the additional repairs, we did need to source sections of the pipe the feeder main requires. Like you heard from the mayor, 3 sections of the pipe are in Calgary being prepared for installation, and 2 more sections are en route from San Diego and set to arrive later this week. On Friday, we communicated that an additional 3 to 5 weeks are required to support the repair of these hotspots. This timeline still remains, and we're committed to providing an update schedule for the construction by the end of the week. Since the start of this response, multiple contractors and subcontractors have been brought on board to install and repair sections of the pipe. We want to thank them for their active response and expertise during this critical time. We have been overwhelmed with offers of support from all over the province and across North America. I'd like to thank all of those who have reached out to lend a hand. Work will be completed as quickly as possible with safety top of mind. This work is truly an exercise of collaboration. We'll continue to look for efficiencies to improve timelines for the completion of the feeder main repair. I'd also like to let you know that our teams are actively connecting with businesses and residents most impacted by the construction. We're continuously updating our partners in the area. We would like to recognize the businesses and community members in the Montgomery area for their support that they've been showing our teams. The sense of community we are experiencing from those impacted close to home is a testament to how we can come together as Calgarians in a time of need. Thank you for your support, and we admire your resilience. As Acting Chief Colby Dewar mentioned, the Calgary Stampede is here today to provide an update. I will now welcome their Chief Executive Officer, Joe Cowley.
Well, thank you, Michael, and thank you for the opportunity to come and address you here today. I can tell you the Calgary Stampede is part of the community, and as such, we share the concerns of Calgarians regarding the current situation. The Calgary Stampede oftentimes is attributed to a 1912 beginning. We actually began in 1884 with the formulation of the Calgary District and Agricultural Society, and at our heart, even though our presentation has grown beyond agriculture, we are still very much an agricultural society. And we, along with our contestants and exhibitors who bring their animals here from throughout North America, are part of that agricultural community. And I can tell you there are no greater stewards of natural resources, especially water, than those in the agricultural community. We also understand the questions in this current situation. Should the Calgary Stampede move on? And I'll tell you that it's very important that it moves on. As a number of our industry partners have indicated, it's important it moves on for a number of reasons, the least of which is not that the $282 million of economic impact generated for the province of Alberta during that 10-day festival. It's incredibly important, and as such, the show will go on, but it will go on in a very responsible manner. Over the weekend and this morning, our management team and our volunteer leaders have met to identify all of the places where we used water on Stampede Park during the Calgary Stampede. And to the maximum extent possible, we will seek to offset the use of Calgary treated water in those locations. And that would involve both the use of non-potable water, which could be used for a number of reasons. We can use that to groom our track and our performance arenas. We can use it for some cleaning purposes with the proper additives as well. And also transporting in treated water, I would say primarily to support our livestock population that grows during the Calgary Stampede. On average, we have about 1,000 head of livestock on park each day. And we want to make sure they're obviously safe and healthy, but we also want to make sure that we preserve the Calgary water supply. We'll also look at ways to bring in treated water to support our human guests as well during that time. And in instances where we have no choice but to use Calgary treated water, we will certainly implement conservation measures in that regard. I mentioned earlier that the Calgary Stampede is part of the community. It's actually deeper than that. We exist for the benefit of the community. And so yes, the show will go on, but it will be done in a responsible manner. Thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure to invite forward Alicia Reynolds with Tourism Calgary.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Tourism Calgary and the tourism industry, thank you first and foremost to the City of Calgary and all those involved in the response to this water feeder main break. We know you're doing all you can to support these repairs as quickly and as safely as possible, and we sincerely appreciate your efforts. Tourism Calgary has been actively engaged with the City of Calgary and the EOC on the issue to understand the impacts to our industry, including hotels, restaurants, attractions, sports and convention venues, and events, of course, like Stampede. As many of you know, tens of thousands of Calgarians make their living in the tourism industry, and we rely on visitors coming to our city for their livelihood. As we head into summer, this is a critical time for our industry, with many local businesses depending on visitors coming to our city, as well as locals coming out to their establishments to sustain their operations for the balance of the year. Our industry is made up of local Calgarians, and just like all Calgarians, our hotels, restaurants, venues, and attractions are actively involved in doing everything they can do to reduce their water usage while continuing to welcome guests and provide a fantastic visitor experience. Tourism Calgary will engage our 1,000+ partners to share conservation best practices so we are able to sustainably and responsibly welcome visitors while still providing that great guest experience and continuing to support the industry and our local community as we head into summer. Having been through crises in the past, we know how great this community is at coming together and doing everything we can to support each other. Over the weekend, there have been many questions about whether Calgary is open to visitors given the current situation. The answer, as you've heard today, is yes. Calgary is open to visitors, and we look forward to welcoming them in a responsible, safe, and sustainable way. To visitors, including our friends and family who have plans to come to Calgary, we know you will have a tremendous time during your visit, and we want to thank you in advance for coming to support our industry and community. Thank you. I'll pass it back to Mayor Gondek for closing remarks.
Thank you. And why do we have such confidence that people who come to visit our city will be actively engaged with us in water saving measures? Because we just did this 10 days ago. When this situation started, we had a major conference in town. It was the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and we had 3,000+ delegates, and all of them understood how important it was for them to be saving water as well. So we continue to get the message out to anyone who lives in Calgary and the area or is coming to visit. Please come and please make sure that you're conserving water like we are. And I love this idea of taking your laundry back home. It was great to see pictures on social media this weekend of all of the various containers and buckets that you had lined up, waiting to catch the weekend rain. And I continue to hear stories about how people are conserving water or using water in different ways. There's a woman who talked about using rainwater to wash her hair. And her suggestion is, if you try this at home, please make sure you heat up a kettle and get that water heated up a bit beforehand. As a reminder, we are still under stage 4 outdoor water restrictions, and there is still a fire ban. So please make sure you are not doing any fires in your backyard or anywhere for that matter. These important measures will help to keep our water use low. While the crews work around the clock, and in the case of yesterday on Father's Day, to fix the feeder main, we must continue to do what we know to be the right thing, and that is to practice water conservation methods at home. And while this work is going on the 5 hotspots, I would encourage you to please check out calgary.ca to see where the detours and the closures are, so you can plan your commute accordingly and have it ready for the morning. I want to thank all of the city's businesses who have put in water-saving measures as well. Many of them have been posting about what they've been doing in terms of stopping their auto flush toilets and not having the sinks running for as long. So the restaurants, the construction companies, and even car washes who are doing their part, we greatly appreciate that. I want to thank all of our surrounding community partners, the folks in Airdrie, Strathmore, Chestermere, Tsuut'ina Nation. You're doing incredible work at conserving water, and we appreciate you. And Calgarians, I've said it before, but it can't be said enough times. We thank you so much for understanding that this situation is serious, and we all need to stick together to get the job done. Thank you for everything you've been doing. I will join you tomorrow morning at 8:30 to do another live stream. And in the meantime, I'm going to pass it to Deb, who will field questions from the media.
Hi. Is there any particular reason why this work can't be staged? Why you have to fix all 5 of these problem areas at once? Like, is it imminently critical work that needs to be done, or is it, kind of like what you do with your car? Sometimes you can put off changing the tire, or instead of what's the urgency?
Thanks for the question. When we did the inspection of the pipe, we identified 5 segments that are at critical need of repair, and we determined the fastest way to complete this work is to do all 5 concurrently. So we're currently working on repairing all 5. If you go out to 16th Avenue now, you will see construction happening in 2 locations, which covers these new 5 hotspots.
Follow up. The city has a lot of expertise with piping and pipelines and oil fields and flushing and wastewater treatment and all that kind of thing. Has there been any offers from any of these companies to do any of the work? And alternatively, has the city considered deploying some of this expertise?
We've had offers from across the province in North America to assist in this repair. We currently have contractors on site, private sector contractors on site doing the excavation right now. We'll be bringing in private sector folks to work with us in these repairs. We're using private sector consultants to do the design work with us, and we're meeting with industry experts across a number of fields to talk about the best way to approach this.
I'm just going to add something to that. I think the question that many Calgarians have been asking is, if we have such a strong resource in the oil and gas sector, have we been engaging with them? And I can tell you we have. We had 2 roundtables over the weekend speaking with oil and gas experts about how we could be doing this work in tandem with some of the experiences they've had. I know that Michael and his team have sat down with hydrologists and engineers from the oil and gas sector, and it's been great. The conversations have been really critical to making sure that we identify what will work the best and what the contingencies need to look like. So we are incredibly fortunate to have a strong energy sector who wants to help us through this, and we are well engaged with them.
Questions for Michael. Can you provide a bit more detail on the work that will be happening at the 2 sites? For example, is it 3 of these problem areas at one site, 2 at another? And does it require pipe replacement, or is there other work that can be done to deal with the problem?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So the 2 sites, one site has 1 hotspot on it. The other site has 4 of the hotspots on it. And so you'll see we have 2 separate construction sites on 16th Avenue right now. We've determined the fastest way to approach this issue is to actually cut out the sections of pipe that we have concerns with and replace them. That's why we have 3 sections of pipe in Calgary being prepared for installation right now. We've worked with San Diego to source 2 sections from them, and those are en route right now. And so we'll be cutting out that pipe and replacing it with new pipe as we go forward.
Follow up. I know it's still early days. It's hard to believe, but still early days. Do you have a sense of the cost of all of this? Is this like, you know, a $10 to $20 million fix? Is this a $150 million fix? And is insurance of any assistance to the city in dealing with those?
We're tracking all costs right now, but we don't have a order of magnitude of what that cost will be, and we'll be back in the future with those details. Right now, we're looking at contingencies for dealing with this work, but again, we don't have an order of magnitude, so once we have that information, we'll be reporting back to council.
Scott Strasser from Post Media Calgary. What happens if we surpass the threshold that we've been at or over on certain days during the stampede? What kind of contingency plans are in place?
So in the Emergency Operations Center, we've been doing a litany of plans, and part of those plans are around contingency planning for excessive water use and what happens there. We also have great partners, as we mentioned, with the Stampede and all of those working together. We would enact some of those plans, and those plans would carry out a litany of actions. But in all reality, we don't want to get to that point. We want to be in a position where we have worked with our Calgary population, and they've done such a great job so far. We're going to continue to up that work and continue to work with our Calgarians and focus on maintaining the level at which we've been doing. They've done a great job so far. Everybody has done a great job so far. Industry, businesses, Calgarians, so we want to stay in that realm.
Follow up on a similar note. I saw a post from someone today that kind of stuck with me where they said something, they compared it to the best summer ever of 2021 if this event goes ahead. And I think we remember that in 2021 after the Premier said we're open for business, there was a huge spike in COVID cases. And I'm wondering if there's like a huge spike in water usage during the Stampede, how do you communicate the severity to Calgarians that they still need to be vigilant in, you know, showering shorter, etc., when these things are allowed to go ahead?
I guess what I would say to you here is that we're working closely with the Calgary Stampede. We're working closely with the Calgary Hotel Association. We're working closely with all of our partners that are have festivals and events moving forward. We have all the partners in the room, and we're working closely. We are also monitoring the situation very closely, and we are actively in this 24/7, working towards making this summer the best it can be in light of what we have. But we will do it efficiently, we will do it effectively, and we will do it safely, especially when it comes to the construction side of things.
Can I add something to that?
Of
if you don't
course.
mind? The very first thing that I would say is we need to get the repair done as quickly as possible. And so we are working actively on that. So the timeline that has been given would indicate that we should be able to restore water from the Bears Paw treatment facility to go into Calgarians' households. So the goal right now is to do that repair work and get everything restored in the water system. So let's make sure we keep an eye on that. That's the goal. That's the thing that we are primarily considering right now, to get water service restored for everyone in the city and the region.
I'm just trying to get a sense, how concrete are the contingencies at the Calgary Stampede? I'm just trying to get a sense of what that will look like for maybe a visitor attending the park, what differences they might notice as we try to come back with one or two.
Yes, so we're not quite 3 days past receiving this information. We did work on this over the weekend, certainly. Our managers in all these relevant areas, we pulled together for an hour-and-a-half meeting this morning to set the task force. But what was presented there and the conversations we've had with SEMA and others, we're confident that we can offset a great amount of this Calgary treated water during the Calgary Stampede. As far as what it looks like for guests, I would honestly think that our guests would understand if we don't do everything that we typically have in the past. I doubt that we'll be washing the grandstand seating that often in this instance. We're going to ask them to conserve water while they're on park. Perhaps we'll set up hydration stations rather than leave, drinking fountains running, for example. So a number of things that we can communicate to our guests, but also we need to communicate to our exhibitors who travel from, frankly, all over North America, so they know what to expect when they get there. The goal is to provide a great experience, to make sure that everyone is safe, both humans and animals. But in areas where maybe we alter things and things do look a little bit different, we want to communicate that in advance, and we want to ask for their understanding in that regard.
And just one for the mayor, please, about, we've heard about the pool closures and the cancellation of swimming lessons and such, but before the new timeline to get these repairs done, what's the message to Calgarians who had signed up for swimming lessons or other programs impacted by those pool closures? As the website right now still says that July swimming lessons are still going ahead, so just curious what the message is to Calgarians on that.
The teams that are working on understanding how our recreation facilities will operate over the next few weeks are actively looking at the messaging. I would advise any Calgarians that have registered for swim lessons or any type of activities that are involving water usage to please go to calgary.ca frequently, and we will have updates as they become available on what's going forward and what might need to be paused for a short while.
Is there concern of additional large infrastructure failures elsewhere, especially during these next 3 to 5 weeks, considering the unknown cause of the failure, the overworked remaining treatment plant, and the traveling of water through alternative piping?
We know people want answers. We want answers to what happened as well. Right now, we're committed to getting a complete analysis of this incident. But we're focused on reducing consumption, repairing the break, restoring water service, and then completing the review.
And does the city have an estimate of the current financial losses businesses in Calgary have suffered in relation to both the water main break and repairs, as well as the mandated and requested water use limitations? Is this being measured for future analysis?
So I can say that we're working with the business and local economy team, and they are meeting regularly with business. As for numbers, right now we do not have those numbers, but they are working closely with that group and making sure that we understand the impacts that they're receiving as well.
A couple more, Helen. This one is, I guess, for either of you, the mayor or myself. There's been some mixed messaging. So in terms of, you last week said it's just not safe to go to the river to get water, harvest water, what you will. And then we're also hearing it's illegal to do so. What are the implications of Calgarians choosing to do that? Are there fines? What are the rules here? Because some people are chatting online about how it's fine to do.
I'll start out, and maybe the mayor will jump in, I'm not sure. But what I would say is that anytime you're near the river, it's dangerous, right? The river is water. Where there's water, there's risk, right? So we don't want people going down and trying to navigate rocks and such to pick up water out of the river. The better opportunity is what we just had this last weekend. Capture the rainwater that we have. Use that to water your flowers and plants. Anything else to add? Yeah. Okay.
I would say ditto, and it's probably a lot easier to capture rainwater in containers and use it to water your garden or your plants, whatever you might need. Any of your plants that you have inside, put them outside so that they can catch a drink when it's raining as well. The biggest thing about the river, like Kobe said, it's not always a safe place to go and get water. So we are prioritizing Calgarian safety, and that's why we're advising everyone not use that option, please.
But we've also, this is just for clarification, but we've also been told by the city, we got a statement that it's actually illegal. Is that true, or what's the background there?
We can certainly get you the finer points about the legality versus the safety. We can get back to you on that.
And sorry, just my follow-up question is around people's water bills. Some people are saying, hey, I paid for it. My service isn't being delivered. I'm being asked to hold back. How will this event be reflected in people's water bills?
I'm hearing interesting things too about folks saying, I guess my water bill will go down because I'm using less water. So as a consumer, if you are using less water, your bill will be lower. So I would say that there's as many people who are interested to see what the result of their hard work has been, how the water saving that they're doing is going to be showing up on their billing.
Question for Alicia. Alicia, can you give us maybe an indication of how many preliminary tourists are coming to Calgary for the Calgary Stampede, and up until maybe the end of the proposed period of time when the construction will be finished?
Yeah, we did speak with Saul Zia of the Calgary Hotel Association this morning to understand how many folks are planning to come and at least stay in Calgary hotels and motels. And the number that we heard this morning is 138,000 folks are expected to come over the period of Stampede from start to finish. In terms of quantifying what that does to our population and total impact, 138,000 people are expected to come as guests to the city to stay in hotels, but lots of people also leave the city, as you heard in remarks previously. So all I can say is the number of hotel guests that are expected during that time.
Is there a message made to hotels and other amenity providers to do things like not fill hotel pools, maybe put less ice into their ice machines, any kind of things where it might use potable water to provide an amenity to guests?
Yeah, the Calgary Hotel Association has been fantastic, and we've been closely communicating with the CHA as well as the City of Calgary to follow all guidelines and best practices. Tourism Calgary is pulling together all of those best practices and messages to communicate back out. We were just talking this morning about the multilingual effort that's coming into play in terms of communicating to guests that are coming to the city for Stampede and for the balance of the summer while this matter plays out. There are lots of creative things that hoteliers and other tourism industry leaders are doing right now, from encouraging shorter showers to only washing linens when there's a full load of laundry, to following, of course, all guidelines when it comes to recommendations around pools and other facilities that use water. So lots of creative efforts underway, and we're seeing a big rally together mentality around banding together and getting through this in a positive way. Thank you.
More about pipes. There have been a number of articles in recent times about the issues with 1970s era water pipes. Does this incident change anything the city intends to do in terms of looking after the vast number of kilometers of pipe that were put on the ground in the city in the 1970s and early 80s?
Yeah, we're still determining all the contributing factors that led to this incident. Like I mentioned, right now we're focused on reducing consumption, repairing the break, restoring water service safely, and then we'll get into reviewing the incident.
And I just have a question for Mr. Cowley. And that is the other sources of water that you mentioned. My mind immediately went to how many trucks carrying water are going to come to the Stampede per day in the early part of July. Is that what you're referring to? Is that how this will happen?
Yes, that's one thing we're certainly looking at, is bringing in treated water from outside of Calgary to help offset the use. And, you know, in particular, looking at it from an animal standpoint. I mentioned we have on average about 1,000 animals on park per day that certainly need water to consume. Some of those will need a bath while they're here. And so bringing water in, the challenge that we have and what we're working through is distribution of that water to get it to the proper locations so it can be used for that purpose.
Do you know how many truckloads per day?
I don't have total truckloads per day. We're still working through those numbers and what the need would be, but we're confident with the proper resourcing of equipment and partners who are willing to provide this water that we can make this happen.
Okay, we'll do two more. Adam?
Question about maybe some of the auxiliary restrictions related to this incident, and how that could impact some summer stuff. I think about things like fireworks, both Stampede and Canada Day coming up. How will those be impacted, do you think? I know it's still a few weeks out, but still about how those will go ahead under a fire ban. Of course, with the fire department.
So we rely on the Calgary Fire Department to provide us with their expertise and their perspective on best practices that need to be followed, and this will be no exception. We have had Fire Chief Dongworth with us on many occasions to field questions, and he's the one best situated to make the determination of what can and can't proceed, and we rely on his expertise.
And Sean, last part.
Going back to the talk about the 70s era concrete pipes. What are we replacing these sections with? Are we using the older materials, or are we using more modern construction and design?
We're replacing these sections with steel pipe, and so we're replacing the section of existing pipe with steel pipe. That would be a new pipe that we have. And again, right now what we're focused on is having Calgarians reduce their consumption while we're doing this work, focused on repairing this break as quickly as possible, and then restoring that water service, and then we'll be reviewing the entire system.
Okay, thanks for the questions. With that, we'll throw it back to the mayor.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for being in this room to capture what's being said today. We rely heavily on media outlets to get the word out to the public, so thank you for being good partners and making sure that everyone understands what we need to be doing right now. It's clearly working. People are practicing water-saving measures, and we're incredibly grateful that all of us in this room and in our region are absolutely willing to band together and do the right thing for all of us right now. So thank you very much. We'll see you at 8:30 as well as 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.